Today we will start with the first chapter in geography, which is representation of geographical features. So to begin with, what is geographical features? Geographical features are naturally created features of Earth. So that means that it tells you whether the particular area, a region is a desert region, whether it is a beach, okay, or a mountainous region, hilly region, sloping region. Okay, so those are geographical features. And representation means how do we show them. Okay, so first of all, the very accurate measure, the most accurate measure that we use is a globe. Globe is a small human made model of the earth. Okay, so it is in the shape of earth, which is made by humans, and it is the best, simple and accurate way to represent earth. But now that we can use globe and it is very accurate as well, but there are some limitations. That means we cannot there are some problems with this globe. First of all, it is very difficult to carry around. The space on globe is limited, and thus details of geographical features cannot be shown. So the globe is not as big as the earth, right? It is just a model, so it is small. So the space is limited, so we cannot show a detail of the geographical features on it. And a globe cannot be made for a part of the earth. Okay, so you have to make the whole earth on that globe. You can't make a particular part and keep the rest of the part empty. And it is difficult to make a large size globe and use it. So obviously when you will make a bigger globe, it will be difficult for you to handle it, you to carry it around. Okay, so what we did was we brought out an alternative. Now what was that alternative? It was maps. Okay, so now what are maps? It is a representation of earth as a whole, but on a flat paper, on a flat surface. Okay, they're less accurate than globes, but nonetheless they're equally useful. Okay, so now what does a map include? Okay, maps include title, scale. Title means it will give you information about what that map is. Okay, so whether that map is a political map, geographical map. Okay, so that is the title, it will be mentioned in the title. Then the next one is scale, direction, grid, conventional signs and symbols, and colors to show variety of information. Okay, this is all what a map is, what a map consists of. Okay, and we will look at each of these in details. Okay, and these features are called language of a map. Why? Because we can easily read that map if we know all of these things. So we will start with scale. Okay, so what is a scale? So this scale is similar to the scale that we use in maths. Okay, so maths may, while we are doing graphs, we say that 1 centimeter is equal to 5 students, or 1 centimeter is equal to 10 students. Okay, that is how we use scales. So similarly for maps also we use scales. Okay, and the distance between any 2 points on a map is measured in centimeters. Because the map is small, we use it as a we use it in centimeters. Okay, now when we draw line that connects 2 points on the map, that particular distance between that 2 points is called map distance. Okay, so this black line that you see, which is joining the 2 points, is called the map distance. Okay, and when we show that the distance between point A on the ground and point B, so the distance between points A and B is called the ground distance. So why do we need to know this? It is because to determine the scale, right? So, and the scale is generally the ratio between the map distance and the ground distance. That is called a scale. So for example, 1 centimeter on a map is equal to 1 kilometer on ground. Okay, and now we see that scales are represented in following ways. We can write it in the form of a statement which is 1 centimeter is equal to 5 kilometers, or 1 centimeter is equal to 2 kilometers. That is a statement, correct? Then it can also be represented using numerical fraction. That means map distance upon ground distance. So 1 upon 1 lakh. Okay, so or 1:1 lakh in the ratio format. Okay, and it is called representative fraction. Now moving on, the third way is in the form of a graphic or a linear scale. Okay, so we will form a scale where it is a line which shows primary divisions and secondary division. So over here, now these ones, these from 0 to 80, okay, this is called primary divisions, and this part is your secondary divisions. Okay, so what it is doing is that in primary divisions you are mentioning that it is from 0 to 10 kilometers. The distance is 0 to 10, 10 to 20, as in the scale that we use for graphs in maths. Similarly, it is 0 to 10, 10 to 20, and the secondary divisions, what secondary divisions tell you is that within that primary divisions, how is that divided? Okay, so now here it is 0 to 10, correct? And here we are saying that 0 to 10 is divided into 5 and 10 kilometers. Okay, so accordingly, if we can read over here, so what will be our answer is 1 centimeter is equal to 10 kilometers. Okay, and that particular 10 kilometers is again divided in 5 kilometers, right? And similarly, you can see in the next graph or linear scale, it is 0 to 3. So 1 centimeter is equal to 3 kilometers, and that 3 kilometers is they have divided into meters. Okay, so 600, 1200, 800. Okay, now we will move on to types of maps according to scales. Okay, so now there are two types of maps. One is small scale maps and the other one is large scale maps. Now what do small scale maps tell us? They show a large area. Okay, so for example, India is a large area. So a small scale map will give you the whole map of India. Okay, and there will be very less details. So there will only be important details such as the states and maybe districts, but that is very rare, and it gives you very general information about the whole area. But on the other hand, large scale maps, they give you a small area. Okay, they show you a small area. So for example, it will be a map of a particular state, for example Maharashtra. So it is a small area and it will be more detailed. It will give you each of the districts, cities of Maharashtra, and it gives you specific information because it is giving you specific information about Maharashtra itself. So here we can see that this is a small scale map which is covering a very huge region, and the other one is a large scale map. So it is giving you, it is showing you information about this particular region in detail. Okay, so it is giving you more information about this small region, okay, that particular region. Okay, now moving on, we have cadastral maps and topographical maps. Now what are cadastral maps? Cadastral maps have been derived from French word called cadastre, which means a register of a territorial property. Okay, so what this cadastral map will do is it gives you plots. Okay, so these are these are the houses, these are the plots for one particular house or one particular building. Okay, so it just shows you plots, whereas a topographical map is a survey of a land. It gives you features of that land, natural geographical features. Okay, here these are the properties that we have built on the land. Okay, it is a map of that, and topographical map is a map of the natural landscapes of that particular region. So for example, this is a map of Gujarat, so it is showing you the topography of Gujarat. Then we move on. Now we have finished the topic of maps. Now we move on to directions. Okay, how do we find directions using a map, or how are directions mentioned in maps? Okay, so now over here we have three ways. First one is cardinal directions. Cardinal directions are the four major directions, that is north, east, west, north, south. Okay, now what are intermediate directions? Intermediate directions are directions between between the four cardinal directions. Okay, so northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, these are intermediate directions. So there are 8 intermediate directions, and there are 4 cardinal directions, correct? And then there are symbolic direction, where you will just find an arrow or something like that which will indicate that this is north. So based on that, you have to you should know that the right side would be east and the left side would be west. Okay, now how do you find directions? Okay, when you don't really have a map, or in general, how do you find directions? We use, first of all, we use the sun. So if it is morning time, when basically it is sunrise, so you will stand in front of the sun, facing the sun as shown in the picture as well as in your textbook. You will face the sun. So, and we all know that sun rises from east, so that direction is east. So obviously the direction that is behind us is west, and then accordingly we can decide north and south. Okay, now we will move on to through the pole star. Okay, now the pole star is located vertically above the north pole. Okay, so it is in north, above the north pole, so obviously that direction is north. In the northern hemisphere, the constellation known as the Great Bear, this is the shape of the constellation. Okay, the white dots are the constellation Great Bear, and keeps revolving around the polar star. This particular constellation revolves around the pole star, and the 2 pointer stars, that means the top 2 stars, they point towards the pole star. So you have to look for this particular constellation, and when you find this constellation, you can look at the 2 pointer stars and see where they're pointing, and in that particular direction you will find the pole star. And when you find the pole star, you know that in that direction is north. Okay, now another method that is used is bearing. It is magnetic compass, and we all know how to use the magnetic compass, so it doesn't need more explanation, correct? Now moving on, we will look at bearing. Now sometimes we want to find the exact direction of a place or an object with respect to the north. Okay, so we keep north in mind. Now this direction is expressed in terms of degrees. Okay, how many degrees to the right is it of north? Okay, so the bearing is an angle formed between the north line and the line joining the 2 points. Okay, so for example, this particular point, if you look here, A and B is a line. Okay, and north is straight upward, so we draw a line which points towards north at 0 degrees. Okay, and you have to join that line, the northern line, the line that points towards north, to point A, and then you have to use a compass. You have to use a protractor, and you have to see the degree at which the line bends. The line AB, you have to check the degree. So for example, over here the line is at 57 degrees. So that is how you know the exact point, right? Now moving on to conventional signs and symbols. So sometimes in maps they will give you these kinds of signs and symbols, and when you find these symbols you can't write everywhere that this is a police station, police station, police station. So you give police station a symbol, and then whenever you find that particular symbol on a map, you have to know, you immediately know that there is a police station over here. Okay, so there are different signs and symbols for different things. So for deserts and wastelands, grasslands, swamps, hills, there is this hills. Then for mountains, for caves, these are the symbols for that particular thing. Political border, road. So if there is a road passing there, you will find these dotted lines. And then this one is for river. So if it is a very detailed map, it will also give you information about, so these are the signs that we use for houses, to represent houses. Then towers, signal towers. Then you have different signs that represent roads, asphalt road or concrete road. Okay, and then this particular symbol, green and blue, is for land and water. Okay, so you will have to keep in mind what these particular signs tell you, signs and symbols tell you. Okay, then you will be easily be able to recognize them on the maps. Now what is the importance of maps? Okay, why do we need maps? So first of all, they provide records of facts about Earth. Okay, because they tell you that this place here, this is a desert, there is a mountain over there. It gives you records and information. Helps us to understand the landform. Landforms meaning whether it is a plain land, hilly land, sloping land, etc. Then maps are useful and important for academic purposes, for studying. Then the governments need maps for administrative purposes, so that they mostly need cadastral maps, so that they know that where houses are, where an particular office is, where a particular police station is. Okay, the topo sheets render timely help during military operations. Then maps are needed for planning and development of a country. Maps are useful for tourists and travelers. So if you're new to a particular country, if you're a tourist, so if you have a map, you will know that where you have to go and you won't get lost. Then pictorial maps can help us to learn and understand even complex facts in the proper relationships. Then a map is a guide for individual in general and for government in particular. Okay, so governments need maps so that they can make plans or changes that need to be done to a particular area. Okay, now we will move on to different types of maps. Okay, so you can have a map which is a sketch. Okay, it is a rough sketch drawn by you which indicates major landmarks. Okay, so for example, a school, police station, garden, train station, etc. Okay, then you have a plan. So plan is for a particular place, a particular house or a particular building. So this is a plan for a house. It indicates that this is the entrance. Then you have where you will have your kitchen and your dining room, where your living room will be, where your bedrooms and washrooms are. So it is a plan. That is how it is going to be built. That is how this house is going to look like. Okay, then we have diagrams. So diagrams will give you a brief about that information. It shows different physical features. Okay, so here for example, this particular diagram shows you so many different things. It starts from it shows you a river, then it also shows you a waterfall. Okay, so this here is a waterfall, then this is a river, then it also shows you tributaries. Now what are tributaries? Tributaries are smaller rivers that join the larger river. That means this moves in this direction towards the river. Okay, then it also shows you meander or bend. That means when the river bends in a particular, river does not move in a straight line. Okay, it changes its directions. So these curves that you see, these curves like this, are meanders and bends. Okay, then it also shows you distributaries. I think it is in the, yes, so here it shows you distributaries. Distributaries means when a river divides into smaller rivers, smaller streams, that is called a distributary. Now tributaries are smaller streams that join the river. Okay, and distributaries are smaller streams that get diverted from the main river. So this is the main river, and this main river moves in 3 different distributaries, and even further it is getting divided into different distributaries. And these triangular areas around the distributaries that are formed in between the distributaries are called delta. Okay, they also show you anticlines and synclines. What are anticlines and synclines? When sedimentary rocks are compressed, we learned last year what are sedimentary rocks. So when these rocks are compressed, that means they are pressed together, and wave like bends called folds are formed. So these waves that you can see are for these folds are formed. Okay, now in these bends, the upper part, okay, the hill shaped part is an anticline, and when it is below, okay, this is called a trough. Now this part is called a syncline. Okay, similarly it also tells you about block mountains. Okay, so now this is a block mountain, and then there is a valley, then again there is a block mountain, then there is a valley. So these things are easily represented using diagrams. Okay, so with that, I hope you have understood geographic representation of geographical features, how we represent geographical. So all of these that we saw, anticlines, synclines, block mountains, deltas, what are these? These are geographical features. They are naturally formed. Okay, now how do we represent it? We represent it using diagrams. Okay, similarly we use sketches, plans, directions, and maps and globes. Okay, thank you.